The sky was burning. Captain Ray stood in the middle of the battlefield, smoke rising all around him. The air smelled like fire, blood, and metal. Laser blasts flew past him. Explosions shook the ground. Bodies, human and alien, lay everywhere. It was war. A terrible war between humans and the Tsarine Empire. An alien race with shining armor and glowing blue eyes. Ray was a soldier. A good one. He followed orders. He fought to survive, and today his unit was losing. Fall back. The commander shouted through the radio. Everyone retreat to base. Ray ran with the others, but something strange stopped him. A soft cry. It was not a scream of pain, not a soldier's shout. It was a child, a small voice crying in the distance coming from the enemy's side. Ray froze. He looked around. No one else heard it. They were too busy running or dying. Again he heard it. A soft, broken cry. Mama. Ray's heart pounded. He should leave. He should escape. If the enemy caught him, he'd be dead, but something inside him refused to move forward. His legs turned the other way, toward the sound. He followed the voice, stepping over burning wreckage and broken weapons. The closer he got, the louder the crying became. Then he saw her. A small alien girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, lay under a piece of metal. Her skin was pale blue. Her white dress was stained with blood. Her legs were trapped. Her large glowing eyes were full of tears. She was Tsarine, the enemy. Ray raised his gun out of habit. But she didn't scream or run. She just looked at him with fear and trust. Please, help me, she whispered. Ray stared at her. His fingers tightened on his weapon. His brain screamed, leave. It's a trap. She's the enemy. But his heart said something else. He dropped his gun. I'm going to lift this, he said, slowly moving toward the metal. Don't move. The girl nodded weakly. Ray used all his strength to lift the heavy debris. It took everything he had. His arms burned. His back hurt. But finally, the metal shifted enough for the girl to crawl out. As soon as she was free, she collapsed into his arms. You're safe now, he whispered. Not sure why he said it. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Ray? What are you doing? It was Sergeant Mika, one of Ray's squad mates. Her gun was pointed at the alien girl. She's just a child, Ray said. She's the enemy's daughter. How do you know that? Ray asked. Mika stepped closer, eyes wide. That dress, that symbol, that's the royal seal. She's the queen's daughter. Ray looked down at the girl in his arms. The golden symbol on her torn dress glowed faintly. Everything made sense now. She wasn't just any alien child. She was the daughter of Queen Iskara, the ruler of the Tsarine Empire. The same queen who ordered the attack on Earth. Ray's arms tightened around her. Put her down, Ray, Mika said. We have orders. Ray shook his head slowly. I can't. You'll be court-martialed. Maybe executed. Ray looked at Mika, then at the child. She's not holding a gun. She's holding on to life. Before Mika could answer, another explosion shook the ground. We don't have time, Mika shouted. Evac's leaving. Ray picked up the girl. Then we run. Mika cursed under her breath but didn't shoot. Together they ran toward the human base, carrying the one child who could change everything. Back at the base, medics rushed to help the girl. Soldiers stared. Some cheered Ray. Others whispered angrily, why would he save her? She's a monster's child. He should have let her die. Ray didn't care what they said. He sat beside her as she slept in the medical room, her tiny hand holding his finger tightly. I don't know your name, he whispered, but I'm glad you're safe. From the shadows, someone recorded the moment on a small device. A secret video showing a human soldier, Ray, risking everything to save the enemy's daughter. The video would soon reach alien space. It would reach the Queen, and her reaction would surprise everyone. Far away from Earth, across black space and cold stars, the Tsarine royal palace floated like a glowing city in the sky. Inside the tallest tower of that palace, a large screen played a video on repeat. It showed a human soldier, Captain Ray, running through smoke, lifting heavy metal and saving a small Tsarine girl. Her silver-white hair was stained with blood. Her eyes were full of fear. But the human didn't leave her behind. He saved her, protected her, held her like she was his own child, and someone was watching every second of that video. Her name was Queen Iskara, the ruler of the Tsarine Empire. She was known across galaxies for being cold, powerful, and full of rage. Some called her the Ice Mother. Others called her the Star Serpent, But right now, her sharp eyes were not angry, they were soft. Full of pain. Full of shock. That man, she whispered, her voice low like thunder. He saved my daughter. Next to her, an old advisor spoke carefully. We are sure, Your Majesty. The human's name is Captain Ray Monroe. He carried the Princess Leary from the battlefield with no weapon drawn. He fought off his own people to keep her alive. The Queen turned away from the screen and stared out of the crystal window. Below, her people were preparing for more war, more fire, more death. But her heart was somewhere else now. In that video, the enemy soldier wasn't a killer. He was a savior. She placed her hand over her heart and closed her eyes. My daughter lives because of him. Her daughter Leary had not spoken since she returned. She just held a small human-made necklace Ray had given her and whispered his name in her sleep. Queen Iskara made a choice. Send a message, she commanded. To the human military, the advisor froze. A message? What message, Your Majesty? The Queen turned, her eyes glowing with power. Tell them I want Captain Ray brought to me, alive, unharmed, treated as a guest of honor. Back on Earth, Ray sat alone in the medical tent. His hands were shaking. He kept thinking about the little alien girl, how cold her hands were, how tightly she held onto him. He had saved her. Yes, but at what cost? Other soldiers looked at him differently now. Some called him a traitor. Some called him a hero. The higher officers didn't say anything, yet. Then the base alarms rang. A ship Zareen design was landing outside. Not attacking. Not firing, just landing. Soldiers aimed their guns. Tanks rolled out. But the ship opened and released no weapons. Instead, a calm voice echoed from a floating silver drone. This is a message from Queen Iskara of the Zareen Empire. She requests a meeting. With Captain Ray Monroe, no blood, no traps, just thanks. The base went silent. Ray's name echoed across the camp. Within an hour, after long talks between both sides, an agreement was made. The war would pause just for one day. Just for him. Ray, still in shock, was placed on a small ship. He wasn't handcuffed. He wasn't forced. But deep down, he felt like he was falling into a trap. Why does the Queen want me? He whispered. No one answered. Aboard the alien ship. The ship was like nothing Ray had seen before. No buttons, no noise, just soft light and warm air. Alien soldiers in blue armor stood silently, but they didn't point weapons at him. Then the doors opened, and he saw her. Queen Iskara. She stood tall in a gown made of stars, her crown glowing softly. Her face was cold, sharp, but her eyes were tired. Captain Ray, she said, her voice like a distant drum. You did not have to save my daughter. But you did. Why? Ray stood still. His hands were sweaty. His heart raced. She was alone. She was crying. She was just a child, he said. Enemy or not, I couldn't let her die. The Queen stepped closer. She told me. You held her hand the whole way. That you told her stories. That you made her feel safe. Ray looked down, embarrassed. I just did what I thought was right. Queen Iskara's lips curved slightly. Not a smile, but something close. You are the first human I've ever wanted to meet, she said, and then something no one expected happened. The Queen bowed her head. A royal bow, deep and full of respect. The alien guards gasped. Ray's eyes widened. Thank you, Queen Iskara said softly. You saved more than my daughter. You saved a part of me. Ray didn't know what to say. He had come expecting a cage or death, but instead he was being honored by the most feared woman in the galaxy. And somewhere behind the royal curtains, Princess Leary watched quietly, her small hands pressed against her chest. Her hero had come. Ray stood frozen. He had seen many strange things in war, firestorms, alien machines, dying stars, but never this, a queen, bowing, to him. Queen Iskara slowly rose, her long hair like silver threads flowing behind her. Her golden eyes stared deeply into his, not with anger, not with pride, but with something. Older, quieter respect. You saved my daughter, she said again. And now I ask you, stay with us, Ray Monroe. Not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as something greater, Ray blinked. Greater? The Queen's words echoed through the tall chamber. Alien guards looked at each other in shock. A few whispered quietly, clearly surprised by what they were hearing. You have the heart of a warrior, the Queen said, but also the soul of a guardian. This empire needs both. Ray tried to understand her meaning. Are you offering me a job? Queen Iskara smiled for the first time. It was not a full smile, but enough to make the air feel warmer. I'm offering you a place by my side. Ray's breath caught. He had expected questions, maybe even tests or threats. But this was unreal. He looked around. The hall was made of floating crystal. Lights moved like water. And standing behind the queen, peeking from behind a guard's leg, was the little alien girl, Leary. She smiled shyly at Ray and waved. Ray smiled back. And for a moment, the war felt far away. Later that night, Ray was led to his room inside the royal palace. It was more like a dream than a prison cell. The bed was soft. The air smelled like flowers. A warm light floated gently from the ceiling. A voice spoke from the wall. Would you like food? Ray blinked. Sure. A tray appeared from the wall with glowing fruit, warm bread, and a drink that smelled like honey and mint. As he ate, he thought, why me? Why did this queen, this leader of an alien empire, want him by her side? Was it truly because he saved her daughter? Or did she have some bigger plan? He remembered the stories Earth soldiers told, how the queen could kill with her mind, how she once destroyed a moon to win a war, how she trusted no one. And now she wanted him close? It didn't add up. Ray looked at the door. No guards, no chains. He was free, but something still felt strange. That night, Ray couldn't sleep. He walked out into the quiet hallway. Strangely, no one stopped him. The palace was silent, almost too silent. Then he heard it, soft footsteps behind him. He turned fast, ready for danger. But it was just Leary, holding a glowing ball of light. You're not sleeping, she said. Ray nodded. Could say the same for you. She sat beside him on a bench near a window that showed stars moving slowly outside. I dream of the fire, Larry said quietly. Of the battle. Ray looked down. I'm sorry you had to see that. She looked up at him. I saw many humans that day. None helped me. Only you did, he smiled. You reminded me of someone I lost. Who? She asked. My little sister, Ray whispered. She died when I was a kid. I couldn't save her, but I saved you. They sat in silence, then she said something strange. Mother says you may become part of our court. Ray's eyes widened. Your court? She wants you to be her star guardian. It's like a protector, a guide, and maybe more. Ray blinked. More? Leary nodded. She hasn't smiled in years. But today, she smiled. The next morning, Ray was brought back to the Queen's throne room. This time, it was full of people, alien nobles, generals, advisors. Everyone stared at him. Queen Iskara stood tall, her voice powerful. This human, she said, pointing to Ray, saved my child without promise of reward. Without fear, without hate, the crowd murmured. He is no longer just a soldier. He is Ray of the Flame. I offer him a seat in my court. Ray's heart raced. He wasn't dreaming. This was real. But behind the queen, one alien general did not clap. His eyes burned with jealousy. His name was General Torvak, and his silence was dangerous. The royal crown had no weight, but the silence around it did. Ray walked through the glowing halls of the Tsarine palace like a man in a dream. He wore new clothes made from soft silver fabric. Alien guards nodded to him. Servants bowed as he passed. He was no longer just a human soldier. He was now Ray of the Flame, the queen's honored guest. A man who had once fought this empire, now walking in its heart. But not everyone was smiling. Behind his back, the whispers had started. They whispered in the gardens, under the blue-leafed trees. He's human. Why is he here? They whispered in the training grounds where warriors watched him with hard eyes. Is he a hero or a spy? They whispered in the shadowed corners of the palace where power moved like poison. He's close to the queen, too close. And in one dark room deep below the palace, they did not whisper, they planned. General Torvak slammed his fist on the stone table. That human does not belong here, he growled. His voice was like cracking ice. He is a risk to our queen, to our people, to everything we have built. Other commanders sat around the table, some silent, some nodding. He saved the princess, one elder said carefully. The people love him. Torvak leaned forward, his eyes sharp as blades. The people are fools. They cheer for a stranger because of one action. They forget he killed hundreds of us before that. No one argued. Let him stay, Torvak said with a smile that held no warmth. Let him get comfortable. But when the time is right. He drew his finger across his throat. Above, in the royal wing, Ray stood on a balcony looking out at the alien sky. The stars moved slowly. A second moon passed overhead like a ghost. Someone stepped beside him. It was Leary holding a book in her hands. Reading again? Ray smiled. She nodded. You showed me how. They sat together on a bench as cool wind brushed through the tall windows. Everyone looks at me differently now, Ray said after a while. Because they don't understand you, Leary replied. And you? He asked. I understand, she said simply. You didn't run away when I cried. You stayed. Ray felt something warm in his chest. The child trusted him. The queen respected him, but the palace? It watched him like a snake watches a mouse. Later that evening, a servant slipped a black envelope under Ray's door. No name. No seal, just one line inside. Leave the palace before moonset. Or you won't leave at all. Ray stared at the message. His heart didn't beat faster. It beat slower. He had felt this before, during war. The quiet tension before an ambush. The cold wind before a sniper shot. He folded the message, slipped it into his pocket and locked the door. Outside his room, he could hear footsteps. Too many, too soft. Ray moved carefully through the hallway, staying in the shadows. His soldier's training returned, sharp as ever. He saw 2 guards standing near his usual path, guards who weren't there before. He turned the other way, through the kitchens, through the old gallery, until he reached the whisper hall, a long, echoing corridor where voices carried like wind. He wasn't alone. Queen Iskara stood there, facing a window of crystal fire. You sensed it too, she said without turning. Ray nodded. Someone wants me gone. Many do, she said quietly. Some fear you. Some hate you. One plans to destroy you. Torvak, Ray said. The queen finally turned to face him. Yes, she said. He was once loyal, but war changes hearts, and jealousy changes minds. Ray stepped closer. Why did you bring me here? Really? She looked tired. Because I needed to remember that mercy still lives, that peace is still possible, that my daughter still laughs. Ray was silent. Then he asked, Do you want me to stay? She looked into his eyes. Yes, but before she could say more, an alarm rang out across the palace, deep and urgent. Ray turned toward the sound. The queen's guards ran into the hall. Someone tried to poison the princess's drink. One shouted, She's safe, but barely. Ray's body turned cold. Leary. She had just been with him hours ago, reading, smiling. Now someone had tried to take her life. He looked at the queen. It started, hasn't it? She nodded slowly. The war inside the palace. Ray clenched his fists. I'm not leaving, he said. Not while your daughter is in danger. The queen stepped forward. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Then stay by my side, she said. Ray didn't bow. He simply nodded. But deep in the palace walls, General Torvak was already planning his next move.